The headlines are already pouring in. Stock market reaches 2022 all-time low. Like, can you even say that in the same sentence? I guess that you can, but we are approaching a bear market, which for many investors scares the living you-know-what out of them. Well, today I want to address what are 10 key stats that you need to know about bear markets and how does that affect your investment portfolio. We're going to find out what those are and a whole lot more on the latest Good Financial Sense podcast. This is episode 161. What is going on, GFC fam and Wealth Hacker Nation? It's your boy Jeff, and it's time to, you know what it is, make your life more. Always grateful, always cheerful. And even when I'm reading headlines like this that say Dow falls more than 200 points in 6 straight daily decline, S&P 500 hits 2022 low. Maybe they didn't say all-time low, but I feel like that is just something that they cannot wait to say. All-time low. They want to freak you out. Here's another one. The S&P 500 is on the brink of a bear market. You're seeing more and more of this. The Dow and the S&P are about likely to fall into a bear market, but your portfolio doesn't have to sink with them. Yes. Thank you, Michael Sincere from Market Watch. Is his name really Sincere?
What's his name? What's his name? I got nothing on a name. Come on, baby. What's the name?
I guess he is really sincere. But then you have articles like this. If history repeats itself, the bear market has 6 months of pain ahead. Bank of America chief strategist says. So obviously, media, the news, they're all about selling you fear. They want you to panic. We don't want you to panic. Yes, you should be concerned. And if you thought that the market was going to continue to perform like it has for the last however many years, it's not going to happen. So just to kind of give you some context, at the time of this recording, so we can just have a quick peek at the Dow Jones. So right now the Dow is at 31,537. The time of this recording is May the 12th. We are just about approaching market close. So for the last month, the Dow is down 8.76%. Year to date is 13.8%. Over the last 6 months, about 12.64. So just kind of give you an idea. But man, let's just go ahead and pull up a chart. For those who are listening to this on the podcast, you can pull up any chart. I'm on Google Finance right now. And just looking at like the 5-year chart, like look at that chart going back to May 12th, 2017, where the Dow was at 20,896. Rise. We had we'll call it a crash back in 2020, where it crashed down to about 19? I thought I got a little lower than that. 19,000 after hitting 29,000. So yeah, that was a big crash. And now we hit 36, which is just insane to me. I mean, I wish I could. I mean, if I go back max, I mean, I'm talking like I go back to 2008. Like that's when we had what was for me was like one of the worst bear markets, when the Dow Jones got down to 6,600. 6,600. So we're 6 times that. I mean, look at that. I mean, if you look at a chart, right, and this one's going from 82 on up to present day, like that is almost an L curve. Not quite, but we've had unprecedented growth over that time. And for those that just think that this is going to continue, like it has to level off. So, I mean, we still have some room to go. I mean, like that's my personal opinion. I am not an economist. I am not forecasting. I'm just saying we just had a good run. So right now we are approaching what we call bear market territory. And for those that hear bear market, sometimes they just hear bear market. They just think, oh, time to sell, time to cash out, time to run. That's not always the case. Actually, that is usually never the case, unless there's just something that you know 100% that you need all of your money in cash for a specific purpose. If that's not the case, and this is meant to last you to retirement or through retirement, then you have to stay invested to an extent. So, but to stay invested, you have to be educated. You have to know how the markets work so that you don't let your emotions get the best of you. So that's why I want to take some time and address what are 10 things that you should know about bear markets so that you don't panic sell and find yourself sitting in cash, wondering why in the world did I get out? Like that was not a wise decision. So first I want to give some props to Hartford Funds. So they're the ones that actually put together this report, this PDF. And I'll have a link to this white paper in the show notes if you want to check this out. I really love how they kind of start this off. So at the top here, it says, even elite athletes need rest days to stay healthy. Sometimes financial markets need to reset from record-setting performance to, here's what you need to know about bear or down markets. I mean, I don't know if that makes me feel any better, but I do love just that metaphor correlation to like, oh yeah, everybody needs a break. Everybody needs rest. Same thing with the bear, like the stock market. Like it's not going to continue to perform at elite levels without taking some time off or a reset. And from my opinion, like that's what we are experiencing right now. So the first thing is watch for the 20%. And I like this because it kind of brings up a discussion on a bear market versus a correction. Like you'll kind of hear those terms synonymously. So what does that really mean? So it says here, market cycles are measured from peak to trough. So a stock index officially reaches a bear territory when the closing price drops at least 20% from its most recent high, whereas a correction is a drop of 10 to 19.9%. And then a new bull market begins when the closing price gains 20% from its low. So looking for that 20% drop, once we reach that, that's when we're talking about a bear market. So that's one thing to know. Here's another fun one. Stocks lose 36% on average in a bear market. But by contrast, like actually, let me just stop right there real quick, right? Stocks lose on average 36%. That's a huge drop. And when I'm thinking about an investor and I'm thinking about your risk profile, like what you are comfortable with, when you think 36%, so imagine that you've got $100,000 invested in the stock market, and that could be in your 401k and IRAs or all combined. And let's just say it's $100,000. If you lose $36,000 in a bear market, not in a year, we're talking about in a bear market, which could happen in a month or two. So if you were to lose $36,000 like in 2 months, how would that make you feel? Would you be stressed out? Would you be calling your financial advisor like every single minute, threatening to come to his house? I never actually got that, by the way. People would joke about that, but it never actually happened. Like, what would you do? Would you pull out? Would you sell? What would you do? And so that is a real stat. 36%. 36% is the average. But here's why I don't want you to sell, because look at this second thing. By contrast, stocks gain 114% on average during a bull market. 114%. So if you're freaking out about the 36% and you sell, well, that's when you miss out on, that's the good stuff, right? That's the gravy, the 114% gain. And this happened so much with, I didn't have a lot of clients like do this, but I had several that when they had a bear market. And for me, when I was an advisor, I got in right after the 01-02 crash. So 08 was the worst, and I saw a lot of people get out that missed out on that huge recovery that we experienced in 2009, 10, 11, and then up to present day. So that's the second thing that you need to know. What about the third thing? Bear markets are normal. There have been 26 bear markets in the S&P 500 since 1928. However, there have also been 27 bull markets, and stocks have risen significantly over that long term. So if you're under this belief that, oh my gosh, it's a bear market, it's a recession, this shouldn't happen, we're the United States, we have an amazing economy, like, oh, it's the end of the world. No, not necessarily. No, it's just, it's kind of like saying, man, it has been sunny 37 days in a row. Why is it raining? Why is there a thunderstorm? Because that's normal. It happens. It's not supposed to be sunny every single day. Maybe in LA, but even in LA, it rains every once in a while. All right, so that's number 3. Is the fourth one. Bear markets tend to be short-lived. Remember, we're talking about bear market lasting 2 months. So the average length of a bear market is 280 days, so or about 9.6 months. That is significantly shorter than the average length of a bull market, which is 991 days or 2.7 years. That's good news, right? So a bear market doesn't last as long. Yes, 9 months is still a long time. Like if you are logging to your account and constantly seeing a decrease in your 401k or your investment accounts, and you're doing so for like 9 consecutive months, like that's not fun. But be rest assured that a bull market is on its way, and when it does hit, it's going to last a lot longer than the bear market. All right, the next thing that you need to know, every 3.6 years. That is the long-term average frequency between bear markets, though many consider the bull market that ended in 2020 to be the longest on record. So that was a nice run, 2009 up until 2020. The bull that run from 87 until the dot-com crash in 2000 is technically the longest, and a drop of 19.9% in 1990 nearly derailed that bull, but just missed the bear threshold. So every 3.6 years is the average of a bear market. But let's go back to that Dow Jones chart real quick, just so we could just look at that, right? So this is the 5-year mark. No, let's go. I can't do that. But like, look at that run, right? There's like that one here that ended, but like, yeah, if this ended the bull market here, that was so short-lived. I mean, that was in like, what was that in? So that started in February 2020, and then by June, it was done. Like it almost had fully recovered. Technically didn't fully recover until I guess November-ish. So from February to November, that bear market was already done. And then we were on to another raging bull market. So every 3.6 years, like that's why we've had such a good run. Even this bear market here, like it was a blip on the map. Most people don't even remember this because it's like, oh crap, it's here. And all of a sudden, oh, not only is it gone, but man, like I made even more. That's why it's like, this is unprecedented. All right. So that is number 5. Look at number 6. Bear markets have been less frequent since World War II. So between 1928 and 1945, there were 12 bear markets, or every 1.4 years. But since 45, there have only been 14. So on one every 5.4 years, which actually plays out to what we just saw. So when we say an average of 3.6 years, since 1945, they've been less frequent. Number 7, half of the S&P 500 Index, the strongest days in the last 20 years, occurred during a bear market. I'm just going to make sure I read this one very clearly. Another 34% of the market's best days took place in the first 2 months of a bull market, before it was a clear bull market had begun. In other words, the best way to weather a downturn could be to stay invested, since it's difficult time to market recovery. So once again, another 34% of the market's best days took place in the first 2 months of the bull market. And this is why it's so important to stay invested. If you think that you're going to time it, it's not going to happen. And just look back at this chart. So if you are in here in February of 2020, Dow Jones at 29,000, all of a sudden it is March, almost a month later, and the market is down over 10,000 points. You tell me that you are going to, with 100% confidence, jump back in with everything that you know, like, oh, yep, it's going to turn around. By November, I'm going to make all my money back and then some. Yes, we can look at a chart in past tense. We're like, oh yeah, I'd totally, yep, I would have sold here, would have got in back here, and then I would have made all. No, you wouldn't have. Stop kidding yourself. Stop lying. It ain't going to happen. You can't time the market. So once again, I want to read that one more time. Another of the 34% of the market's best days took place in the first 2 months of a bull market. Before the headlines were saying it's a bull market, it's time to buy. You're not going to see headlines. You're not going to get a text from Warren Buffett to tell you time to get in. It's not going to feel like a bull market, especially coming out of a bear market. Number 8, a bear market doesn't necessarily indicate an economic recession. Now, this one is interesting for me because sometimes when you hear bear market, you think recession, you think that they are hand in hand. but there have been 26 bear markets since 1929, but only 15 recessions during that time. So bear markets often go hand in hand with a slowing economy, but a declining market doesn't necessarily mean a recession is looming. Now, does that mean we have a recession? I don't know. We're going to find out, right? Number 9, assuming a 50-year investment horizon, you can expect to live through about 14 bear markets, give or take. I mean, but I feel like anybody that's investing right now, like I've gone through, if you want to count the one that we just experienced in 2020, 3 that I remember. I guess, I don't know if 87, I was alive then, don't remember it. So maybe 4. So that means I could go through 10 more? I don't know. I'm kind of good with, how about like 7? I'll go through 3 more. All right, number 10. Bear markets can be painful, but overall, markets are a positive majority of the time. Over the last 92 years of market history, bear markets have comprised only about 20.6 of those years. Put it another way, stocks have been on the rise 78% of the time. And it's like we know that. I mean, that's not like news, like new news or anything, but like sometimes we just need that reminder, especially when we're reading the news and we see headlines like the one I showed you. If history repeats itself, the bear market has 6 months of pain ahead. And there's just like all these different, the S&P is on the brink of a bear market. I mean, it's just doom and gloom, right? And they want you to read it. They want you to freak out. They want you to click. They want to get the advertising revenue. That's their job. That's what they're there for. Don't buy into it. Yes, prepare yourself. Understand what's going on. It's a perfect time to review your portfolio, to review like how you're invested, what you're invested into. Like that's good. You know, sometimes like when things are good, people tend to not want to check that stuff. It's kind of like your health is good. Why do you want to go to the doctor? Everything's fine. You know, we go to the doctor when we've got aches and pains, we don't feel good. Some of us recognize like it is good to have that annual checkup with our doctor just to make sure everything's on the up and up. But some people, we just like to put it off until, I won't say it's too late, but when, oh man, if we actually would have gone and had a checkup, like an annual checkup, we could have prevented whatever the issue is. This is no different. When the markets are good, when you're opening your statements and all you're seeing is green or pluses, what's the point in meeting with a financial professional and make sure everything is good? We don't want to do that because it's like, why? Everything is great. Right now, we've had a bit of a sell-off. So now is a good time to just go in for a quick check. Hey, how am I doing? Do I need to change anything? Here's some updates with my job, with my career. Do I need to save more? What about inflation? Do we need to make some adjustments in how much I'm saving, when I'm planning to retire? Do we need to tweak how much we have in the stock market? I mean, these are all good questions to ask. Not that anything needs to be done, but it's good having these conversations and being proactive. Arch, I hope you enjoyed this podcast or YouTube video, depending on where you are consuming this. Until next time, this is Jeff Rose reminding you that it's your money, it's your life, and only you can make it awesome. Until next time, peace.